on your face I see, staring back at me. No other life that came, no other holy name. Praise goes out to thee. God, for me the only cause. Adam dreams no more. Christ, peace, the morrow comes. What I see may hold. Ooh, when the stakes feel way too high, or how we feel our own life, wake me. I pray that I believe. I pray that I believe. God, for me the only cause. Adam's dreams no more. Christ, peace, the morrow comes. What I see may hold. Rivers of joy pour down on my face. This fear in the night won't hold me. I look to the only light I know, all inside you, yeah. Behold the presence, I will not fail. The fight is not my own innocence, I know. Lord, carry the weight of these cares for me now. I'm resting in you, resting in you. God, for me the only cause. Adam dreams no more. Christ, peace, the morrow comes. What I see made whole. Made whole. Made whole. Made whole. Made
Hey, hold on a sec. I'm just gonna put these gloves on, and then we can get started. It's beautiful, super beautiful here. Even though it is really cold with this wind bite, and you know the wind is biting really hard. And I hope the camera will hold up and the mic, etc. But so much going on right now, so much newness coming into my awareness, and it's not like it's a new teaching. It's just the new revelations from the same teachings. I'm getting the demonstration in areas where it really matters now. Case in point. So go back about four or 5 days ago. The illusion of sickness, came upon me like a freight train, and I didn't have much time to react to it because it just came suddenly and aggressively. And, I went to the 91st Psalm, and I held on to that message, because I have set my love upon God. God will deliver me. That's spiritual law. And so I got into the secret place of the Most High. I got into pursuing the kingdom, turning away from the mortal evidence as best as I could. That's the key. You turn away from the body, you turn towards the spirit. You rest on a principle of truth, and you let the truth itself do the bidding and destroy the error. The truth is a double-edged sword. There's your answer right there. So that's what I did, and then I called in support just to pray with me and got it handled. So I did spend that day just basically holding steadfast in that prayer, laying there, knowing the truth. Got up the next morning, went and did my run, and I'm like, okay, I declare myself healed. So there we go. And yesterday, this is when it really counts, though. This is when it really matters. My daughter, Leora, is in bed, and she's shaking, and Sabrina said she, was throwing up, and she had the diarrhea all night. So I went in, and I did exactly what I knew I could do, since I just demonstrated truth overcoming this. The power of truth destroyed these lies. That man could be sick, that there was another mind that could create another idea of illness, that there is any law in the outer realm to come against God's perfect creation. You see, all of these lies, I confronted them for about 10 minutes. I did the same thing that I read about in the story where, the person that was going to have their leg amputated had the person come in to pray for him. That person got into the allness of God for about 10 minutes. Nurses started screaming because their skin was, growing back, the flesh was coming back, and they didn't have to have their leg amputated. So in that revelation of truth, the illusion of that leg problem disappeared. So what I did is I got into that same revelation of truth for my daughter, Leora. I just sat on the bed. I turned away from the appearance of her being sick. Turned away from it. See, there can't be God and a sick person. So we have to remove persons, conditions, qualities of good and bad, and circumstances out of it. Because that is the material evidence that's coming before us, that's causing us, to be tempted by sin. That's the lawless one coming after you. The outer is the lawless one. So the lawless one means it has no law to govern, no power, no ruling authority, but it is ignorance, and it's a liar from the beginning. So it comes in the 5 cent stream, and we have to know the truth, and the truth sets us free. So I sat there for about 10 minutes and just loved on my daughter, with my hand on her, while I turned away from the idea that there is a person there that's capable of being sick, that has any sense of anything other than what God created, because God is all. And so I got into the allness of God, and then I saw what would happen. Oh, she's going to be fine, and she'll want to come over in a little bit, to my place here on the beach. So I just got up. I said, it's okay, I'm going to go on, Sabrina, and you let me know how it goes. I prayed. Sure enough, about an hour later, I get the message, Leora's feeling better now. And I'm like, okay. And I said, so you want to come over, Leora? And she's like, yeah. And so I had her come over, and she had a good day. See, the power of truth itself destroys the power of the lies. It's the power of the truth. That's the key. You don't have to try to make anything happen, because to use human will is to give false power to another god. What other god? Well, that graven image of a stick figure that you think exists. No, because nothing temporal, nothing that returns to dust, atom of the dust, can exist. Otherwise, it negates the fact that God is all. How can God be all and yet be also temporal at the same time and go from perfection to corruption? Corruption can't become perfection, so we don't try to heal anything either. We just know the truth. The truth is God is. Period. End of discussion. Turn away from the dream of the five senses. Feel that revelation in your heart that you know that God's harmony is the only fact in all of existence anywhere you stand. And you have done all that you are capable of doing. You have done all that you ought to do, and you have completed what you can do to put the full law of God's adjustment or the law of the Spirit into operation into your life, okay? And that includes everything you see, smell, hear, taste, and touch. You think you have an extended family, you don't. You were never born of flesh. To believe you were born of flesh means that you are under the law of strife. Ignorance, envy, and strife. It means you are carnally minded. Well, guess what? There is no carnal mind. There's one mind, the pure mind of God. So that sets up the transmission that we're going to do for today. And I'm hoping it's going to be a boom, jam-packed, under the belt, gut-punching, riveting, shocking revelation for you. No, it should be actually pretty peaceful and calm. And I do have some things to share. So I figured I'd take you on this walk with me. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over the new, working with the new card deck that's coming. And, people might be saying, oh, this goddamn card deck keeps talking about this card deck. Well, you don't realize what I'm doing if that's you. You have no clue because you're looking at it from the eyes of mortality. I'm looking at it from the eyes of negating mortality. And so when you see it for what it is, and you recognize the shortcut that it represents to the negation of error, then you'll understand why I do it. So I've taken on people that I can pray for each day now, and this is my way of putting out what I want back. It keeps me in the state of allowing, in the state of seeing only what God knows. That's the key. I don't want to fall into ignorance, so the more I pray for others, knowing the truth, knowing that there are no problems, there is only God, but turning away from the mortal condition that is presented to me in these emails that they submit, then I can hold that space. And that's all that prayer actually is. Okay? And that's the best form of prayer. And you should only receive prayer from someone who has demonstrated the principle of God being all and overcome the so-called conditions of the flesh. Whether that's a shortage in income, a relationship, drama, or sickness, pain, anything like that. Those are all temporal, therefore they're all illusory, they're all dreaming states of sin. Again, how did you come into the dream? You took thought for your life. That creates human reasoning. It sets up aversions and attachments. You come from the aether, okay, A-E-T-H-E-R, and you go into the agitation of mind, mind curving back within itself to experience itself as spirit, mind, and matter, as the Eastern philosophies will teach you. It creates agitation. Out of rest comes agitation. And in the agitation stirs about the centrifugal loss of power divergent ether rarefaction coming into the what you call the five sense material carnally minded dream, the world of matter. Matter is frozen thoughts in space-time illusion. Matter, what you call physical reality, is frozen thought in space-time, which is an illusion. There is no time-space. All right, so the idea here is this. Just back up for a second. What you think is a physical issue, a reality, you can reverse the law of that by understanding that how something is bound in law, it has to be unbound. So if you got bound into that law of flesh, which is the law of matter, you have to unbind it by taking it back into thought and then bringing in the truth and letting the truth with a double-edged sword do what truth does. Destruction. It brings destruction. Truth brings annihilation to anything unlike itself. And there's only one mind. That's why I can know this truth and I can affect what you think this whole area is. That's how I was able to do what I called spiritual special forces. And when this whole place was locking down in ignorance, I was able to just walk around and know the truth, and everything began opening back up. And now It's probably one of the most sane places I've ever seen. And now we just extend that outward and we start doing it for more and more. Now I do it for larger areas. So here's a couple of booby traps that you should consider. Just some things that will inhibit your progress spiritually, that'll prevent you from accessing the kingdom. Well, first of all, the Delilah spell, okay? So the spell of Delilah is that the outer, it's a she, it's the womb of materiality, and cuts off the hair of Samson, the spiritual strength. Hair represents spiritual strength, so you want to be able to access the kingdom, which is your spiritual strength. So Delilah is anything that's a muse on the outer that stimulates you through the five senses and gets you to focus on it. So what is the world out there? It's a bunch of noise, like war. That's what it says in the movie The Matrix, the new Matrix movie. Well, why does it do that? Because it's playing hide the good. The only trick it has is to trying to prove through the law. It's trying to prove a case. It's like the law of envy is trying to prove its case that God is absent. Tell me I'm wrong. I know I'm not wrong because I've read all the Gospels and I understand what I'm reading. So tell me I'm wrong. It's stirring about because it has no place of rest. So it has to find your thought to have a place of rest. If you don't give it any thought or you don't give it any attention and you turn away from it wholeheartedly, well, guess what that's going to do? Guess what it does if you turn away from it? And I'm sorry, the camera's glitching because it's cold. That's what happens in the winter. You turn away from the world and the mortal appearances, just like I turned away from the illusion of Leora being sick. There can't be God and Leora being sick on the bed at the same time. See, the whole illusion of the five senses, what I see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, is trying to suggest to me and trying to get me to fear. Satan is another word for fear. The whole thing is they want to exchange what you have, which is the truth, and put the counterfeit in your reality, which is fear. So the truth is that God's daughter, Leora, is held in perfection as God's child, the perfect reflection of that spiritual substance that is immutable, incorruptible, and eternal. And so along comes the dream through erring human belief, like a creepy crawly sweeping the nothingness, looking for me to buy into this crap. And it says, oh, I know how I can get him. I'll get him through the fear for his own daughter, because he'll be agitated. He won't be able to hold his peace. So what did I do? I turned away from the whole thing. I went to her. I saw the illusion that there could be a mortal there, because God never created mortals, by the way. That's illusion number one. Illusion number two is that there is sickness carrying out its own degree of law, okay? Well, first of all, we know that it's a lawless one, so it doesn't have law. It doesn't have power to rule or govern or carry out anything. It's nothingness. And so that's the third thing, is that something doesn't ever become nothing, okay? Okay, we know that the something is God. God is all. And nothing never becomes something. What is 500,000 times 0? 0. What is 3 times 0? 0. Okay? So every illusion that shows up is trying to prove one thing to you through your 5-sense dream. God is absent here. Where is he now? How come he's not here? Why is this trouble here? No, that's the dream. Turn away from it. You turn to the kingdom. You get into the allness of God. And you hold your peace by knowing the truth. Right where that problem seems to be. God's love is the only thing manifest. God's harmony is the only thing manifest. God's wisdom and intelligence is the only thing manifest. God's well-being is the only thing manifest. And because he has set his affection, his heart upon me, therefore I shall deliver him and honor him, it says in the 91st Psalm. See, that's what it says. Okay, my apologies for the camera again. This might be tricky video to make because of the technical. It's because it's so cold, according to the senses. All right. But that's what I did, and that's what you do. Okay, so the key is this is how you access the kingdom. So what you should do if you want to play around with this, and I got so much more to tell you, and I'm just gonna have to pick this up later on the walk, but you should go below and you should fill out the form for a free, prayer session if you want. If you want, you don't have to. Do it for yourself. But the key is if you have somebody that really demonstrates this and spends the time getting into that place, it's really, really powerful. That's what I do, is I spend the time to stay in that place. I turn away from the world, I turn to God. I've made myself a disciple by doing that. I've created the discipline of doing that. Okay, so let's continue here because we don't have the problems with the camera. So I'm driving, I can't look at you in the eye, but I will when I stop. So back to the discussion of what we're doing here is we're representing what God knows to be true, not what the world says is, currently happening, current events, news, etc. It's all just the same ignorance fluffing itself around as nothingness, saying, hide the good, hide the good. Let's pretend God is absent. Let's pretend God is absent. Here, evil, evil, evil. And we get caught up in it. We get scared. We get tempted. That's what temptation is. It's being afraid. I fear for a lack. I fear for lack of good. That's why people are tempted for drugs and alcohol, because they fear for lack of good. So nobody in their right mind goes and gets drunk. I don't get drunk. I used to when I was, young, and I played hockey and a lot of things like that because I hadn't grown in wisdom yet. Why do people get drunk on the weekends? To run away from their life. Well, why? Because they're slaves to some corporation or some job or some lifestyle that doesn't serve their true self-development. And so they get caught up in escapism. And we're all trying to go to the Father. That's the whole key. And so we get caught up in these alternative options, that I call false start ghettos. You got your pornography, you've got drugs, you've got workaholism. Anything that's an ism really becomes your adulteress. It becomes the seductress of the world and tries to pull you into giving your faith and your attention to that thing. And in exchange, you see, you get to play hide the good. You get to play, forfeit my God power within the kingdom. I'll turn away from the kingdom and I'll turn towards you. And that's the same thing as the two goddesses story. Inside of you there lives two goddesses. The goddess of, my bad. I think I cut myself shaving. Doesn't look like I shaved, but I got to get rid of something. Yeah, it's not coming out too good. Anyway, bear with me. So the two goddesses inside of you. You have the goddess of wealth and the goddess of wisdom. So the goddess of wealth, if you chase after the goddess of wealth, she will forever elude you. If you chase after the goddess of wisdom, the goddess of wealth gets jealous, chases you for a lifetime. So let's look at how that plays out. Here I'm in the present moment. I'm right here, right now, one with all that is, knowing that all that is is the Father, can only be the Father, ever was the Father, will ever be the Father. There is none other beside him. None other beside him. Okay, there's the facts. Okay, you're going to build a case, there's your facts. Well, okay, so What's the argument coming from the outer realm? Well, there's a lack of money here. Okay. Well, first of all, what you call money, the coin of the realm, whatever's in your hand, is an illusion of supply anyway. You don't have supply. God contains all supply, and all wealth belongs to God. So better if you became the instrument of God's abundance than trying to get something for a self that was never created. You see, if you become a self-identified mortal, you fall for lack. You will fall for lack at every turn because you're in the dream. You're in the dream because you believe that you're supposed to bear the burden of taking care of all of your quote-unquote material needs. Now, Jesus was an innovator. He had been trained by the Essenes, and he had brought another kingdom. So, the Hebrews at the time were not too excited about him bringing another kingdom, because he said, I have meat that you know not of. Jesus had the substance of spirit. Jesus was of the Father, which means spiritually aware at all times, always rooted in a principle that there was no material man. Okay, so back again. So I got the yellow glasses on now. If you don't have these, I love these. I think, what are they, like blue blockers or some kind of... They just turn everything summer-like. So I can be here in the wintertime and everything kind of glows yellow. Gives me that feeling that we're in a nicer environment. I like it. So anyway, just taking you along with me on my errands that I have to run today. And what I really want to bring it down to is the fact that we're going to branch this off and do this. We're going to start replicating this with this app. That's what the whole card spread is for. You have 78 different keys. You have the remote access intuitive knowing that pulls the answer before you even perfect the question. The answer sits staring at you right in your face. And then you meditate and you reflect on those truths. That's the whole point. That's how you become the manifest of God, is you reflect on a spiritual idea that brings truth into your experience. Back that up about 30 seconds and listen to that again about 5 times until you get it. That is how you demonstrate what you would call manifestation, right? Well, manifestation is manifesting the God that is, because it brings the all-sufficiency of all things. That's to seek first the wisdom, and then wealth gets jealous and chases you. So back that one up about 30 seconds and listen to that about 5 times again. And you'll have this moment of epiphany where it's like the mic drop moment. I could have just said those 2 things that I just said, and I could have let you play it on repeat for the next 36 hours. And once you get done hearing that, you'll never turn toward the goddess of wealth ever again. Because it's an illusion. It's not there. It's a dream. You don't give up the real for the fake. Everything in the outer is counterfeit. It's fake. It's illusion. So you chase after material, fictional symbols of wealth, and then you forfeit the true reflection of the spiritual idea that is the actual wealth that becomes made known to the senses as you become one with it. Back that one up about 30 seconds. Listen to that one about 5 times. Not for me. It's not to humor me. I don't want you to think that I'm telling you something that's profound that's never been said before. Sure, I say it in a different way, but it's the truth, and the truth is forever standing as the truth. All you need is the truth to obliterate 1,001 lies. So you get into the idea of the truth, pursue the goddess of wisdom, and then the goddess of wealth gets jealous and chases you. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things are added unto you. So I'm excited because I'm building the app, and I'm going to give you the access on that on your phone, your device, whatever. and you can practice, and the key is practice. This is actually a tool, and the structure is the message, all right? Now, what I mean by that is that the doing of the engagement that you do with this, because I gamified the experience. I gamified the experience of seeking the kingdom. Why? Because we live in the culture of gamification. We're entering into the metaverse / gaming / NFT paradigm. And so what I do as a minister is whatever God instructs me to do. And then I see the wisdom in it, and then I can see what God is doing. So God is allowing for you to play games and then escape your dreaming state, returning, repenting back to the Father in a way that allows you to use the structure that you're used to, your device, whatever it is, the technology. You let the technology that's enslaving you now set you free. That's why God can use a donkey, okay? God can use anything for God's purposes, and God will use everything because all things were created for God's good and God's glory. I know a lot of carnally minded individuals. There are no such individuals, actually, but in the dream, those that are carnally minded, they are massively apprehensive to the truth, so they all checked out like minute 3. They heard about 3 minutes of this and they're like, because they couldn't handle it. Because they want to go back to dreaming and they want to pretend that they are able to do anything of themselves. So in my retrospection, looking at the spiritual progress that has come along from my own journey ever since, allegedly being born in this world, which I know I never was. But according to the dream and according to the revelations that have come throughout the dream, God was my original teacher. I really had some God experiences where the voice of God came through my head. Literally, I heard the audible voice. I've been through the death process. I had a drowning experience that makes no human sense of how I came out of it and survived. I probably told that story a dozen times. I don't want to tell everything again and again and again, but I've had to overcome several incurable, life-threatening conditions. And I've studied the best in the world at what they do repeatedly because I've always looked for the demonstration first. Not the glitz and the glamour. I don't really care about who has the most followers. Hitler had 4 million followers. Jesus had 12. I care about who actually produces the result. Well, Hitler produced a result, all right. And most people that have lots and lots of followers, they do also produce results. But what I'm most interested in is not just any result. I'm interested in the ultimate liberation of the soul, of the individualized consciousness of God, into the most streamlined and effective process of returning back to the Father, to be all-sufficient. Okay, that's really how I would say it best. I will say Mary Baker Eddy was the best in the world ever of replicating teachers that are able to demonstrate the power of the living Christ in setting someone free from conditions. Hands down, never been a better facilitator that was able to do that. So I looked at her daily habits and her structures and her passion, her devotion. That's what I admire the most about her. I don't consider myself a Christian Scientist. I consider myself someone who is a student of the best in the world at what they do, and then I reverse engineer, extrapolate what I can, put it into practice, and I think I'm the best in the world at building daily strategies and protocols to create the shortcut hacks to gain the result. So the gain of the result, the gaining of that result through a protocol that engineers you through the mechanical steps into doing it automatically is where I slip into the gap. That's my niche. I'm a strategist, and I've never met anybody better than me because I obsessively focus about it 24/7. It's my obsession. It's my passion. Whether it's the ABC break process, the safe touch technique, the self-entrainment technique, the PTT, and now the new Oracle deck, the app that's coming, still called the RIP app, rest in peace, because really, that's what you want to be, is dead to the world and alive in spirit. It doesn't matter what you know. It doesn't matter what you know. Success is never what you know, it's who you know. So, who is the God? And the daily habit of embracing God, that moment of God's favor, can erase a lifetime of stress and drama. I've done it so many times. Eating disorder vanishes in a night after years. Touching the hem of the garment, receiving the truth in that moment. The truth sets you free. Direct connection to God. Lyme disease. Okay? Death sentence. Overcame it completely. Trained like a pro athlete today. Bankruptcy. Poverty. Was able to erect several $1 million plus, multi-million dollar enterprises. Not for my glory, for the glory of God. This is God's truth demonstrating its own fruit. You see, I'm the manifest of that. What does it take to be the manifest of God? It takes protocol. Protocol will outperform genius every single time. Everybody's looking for a genius. I say, give me a protocol. See, I'm not the greatest in the world in terms of skill and talent. But you let me at it, and I will find and build a protocol that will outperform 99 out of 100 times. That's what I do. That's my gift as my ministry to anyone who's willing to listen. Use the techniques. That's all I can say, is do it and find out for yourself. So what I say is use the card spread. There are 78 truth keys. As you engage with them, and everything is all, the knowledge is so much deeper than it looks, just accept the simplicity of it. I could spend 3 hours explaining to you every single component that goes into that. It was all a download, it was all a revelation. Just let it work for you. You don't need to know how a plane works and the mechanics and the laws of physics to fly in a plane. Well, you don't need to know all that's in this to demonstrate what the capabilities are for you. But by the doing of it often and giving that reflective meditative time, it's causing you to pursue the goddess of wisdom. You're actually building a texting relationship with wisdom, if you will. See, you're turning away from the adulterous whore of Babylon, the fears and fictions of this world that are alluring you into seduction, whether it's the good or the bad, because when you eat of the tree of knowledge, good or bad, anything good of this world or bad of this world is neither good nor bad. You're giving your attention to the goddess of wealth is what you're doing. So what I do is I built a structure for you with shortcut learning in little tweet size modules that fit the bill of today's 8-second attention span, and allow you to delve into that nugget of wisdom, pursuing the goddess of wisdom. And as you do it more and more, it begins to bleed through your experience. And when it bleeds through completely, whether that's in one session or in 5 sessions or in 5 months, who cares? If you overcome the greatest limitations and concerns that you have right now by using something, whether it takes 24 hours or it takes 24 months, what do you care? See, if you don't do something different, you will repeatedly produce the same result. So what I suggest you do differently is look at first principle. What have you actually done? You've turned to this world for answers. What can you do differently? Turn to wisdom for answers. Seek first the kingdom, and all these things shall be given unto you. Here's a game that you can use to train yourself to automatically do that. Lastly, before I go, first of all, I got Fiona here with me now. You want to say hi, Fiona?
Hi.
Fiona, what do you know about God?
That he holds everybody.
And?
He hits us with his hands. But
Yeah. It's good enough. Okay. So, I just want to let you know that something new that Allow is going to bring forth is Allow Radio. And I'm putting it together now. It's going to be a radio live stream that you can participate with, and you can, dial in. You can listen to it online, stream it, listen to the replay. I want to bring a lot more into this. I know I have the video and I talk, and those are like the transmissions, but I really want to distill it into the people, and just to see what the teachings are doing, what the wisdom is offering, how the progress is being made, and I want to let the community just participate and share. So that's the vision. And also with music, it gives you this element of, radio. I can add music, and I really want to do that. I want to just bring a new dimension into the ministry. I'm excited about it. I'm setting up the station now, and it should be coming soon along with the app. So, we have the books, we have the online workshops, we have the prayer offerings, we have the techniques, a lot of the trainings we teach, the techniques to master them, and we have the app. We have obviously the figleaf.tv, all the archive of all the video transmissions, and then we'll be bringing forth the radio. And so ultimately the goal is just to serve at the highest capacity that we can for the select group of individuals that want to receive the message. This isn't a message of a God in the sky. This isn't religion. This is about rediscovering the facts of life and replicating that experience into multiple demonstrations throughout all areas of your reality. That's what it's all about.
Dad,
Yeah. Want to say goodbye?
Mom said that.
I'm just going to finish by reading my notes from the truth cards as I did the spread today. And I did it for generalized knowing versus being confused. So think of an area right now in your life where you're just a little confused. And I'm going to guide you through the keys here, through my own notes, reflecting on them. And let's see what happens. Let's clear up confusion, and let's allow for the all-knowing mind to be made manifest. Okay, so the Earth card was number 3, and then my notes on that immediate harmony sets in the moment you detach from the outer. Noticing it is all lawless, ignorant, it's noise that is at war against truth. The noise of the outer is at war with the inner stillness, trying to hide the good, covering it with illusion. And then I also wrote, it tries to seduce you into judging by appearances, sounds, tastes, smells, and sense of material reasoning, like sickness, pain, emotions. This is all nothingness. It's coming from the carnal reality, the carnal mind. And evil has no root except for carnal thinking. And guess what? The carnal mind doesn't have a place in existence. So the water card, the notes on that, card number 13, my notes were, God does not bless persons. So stop trying to get something to or from someone, including what you think is yourself. Just know that God is all in all. Don't try to improve a condition. Don't try to get something to yourself or someone else, or get it from someone else. Just know that God is all in all. Don't enter God's prayer closet as a person. And then the wind card was number 31, and then That's to rest in the certainty of his supreme governance over all creation. So you're really just surrendering. You're letting go of all of your thought and concern, all of your attitude towards fixing something, resolving an issue, seeing a problem. You have to get yourself out of the way, and the truth allows you to do that. And then the fire card was number 17. This one comes up time and time again for every spread that I do. And that's about getting into the all-sufficiency of God versus pursuing your own fulfillment. So the notes I took this time are: relax and allow for God's grace to fulfill your heart's true desire. Seek nothing more or less. Just seek God's grace. Seek nothing more or less. Nothing less, nothing more. For what else could you ask for? Does not the all-knowing mind have already known of all of your possible needs and already have supplied? You want to come into that knowledge so you don't produce any more lack. Lack for health, freedom, security, whatever it is. Knowledge. See? 48, this is dealing with the aversions. I put: pray to commingle with God's mind. Have no other thought. Become blameless and pure. See, if you come into this right here, the attachment is: I am of the pure mind of God. No other mind exists. That's card number 52. If you recognize no other mind, there's one mind. There's God's mind. Through inheritance, you reflect that mind. There's how you have infinite intelligence. And then we rest at card number 77. I also put down: I and the Father are one. I am the manifest of my Father's will. Therefore, all that my Father hath is already mine. Well, would that not also include every right divine idea? See, what we're looking for is a right divine idea. That's what solves all confusion. Well, by reflection, that's already yours. 77, the notes on that were: this is the Aether card. Time, space, and illusion all are nothingness. God is not with mortals. Therefore, his intelligence is not for them. So we don't enter our prayer as a mortal. We enter as the reflection of God's all-pervading spiritual substance, one mind, one power, one cause, one activity. And we reflect all of those qualities, including infinite intelligence, harmonious existence, well-being, freedom, joy. These are the only truths. And so we become of that same nature. We're not the children of men. We are the children of God. God doesn't bless the children of men. God is not with mortals. You renounce your former identity and you become the child of God. Let that sink in. Meditate on that.